So if you're walking down the street and you see a rose growing from the concrete, now it may be a little dirty, it may be a little tilted to the side, but you're going to marvel at it because it rose through the concrete. So why is it when you look at me, a young ghetto kid growing up in the streets that came up from the dirtiest of circumstances, that can sit across the table from you and smile and make you laugh and maybe even make you cry? Why is it all you want to talk about is my dirty rose? How I'm leaning to the side. You can't even see that I've come up out of all that. That's a quote from the man I'm going to be talking about today. He was an artist, an actor, a musician, a poet, and some say a revolutionary. And his mom actually believed that he was a revolutionary. And I'm going to share some stories about his life and about the way that he died. They say the great ones die too soon. He was certainly considered one of those great ones. So, he was born June 16, 1971 in East Harlem, New York. His name, Lassane Parrish Crooks. His parents were both members of the Black Panther Party. So he was very accustomed to seeing his parents go in and out of jail at a very, very young age. But for him, he started acting. He was doing plays like A Raisin in the Sun. When his family moved to Baltimore, he was in the Baltimore School of the Arts, where he started studying ballet and jazz and poetry, where he started to write his own poetry. And he was really good at it. When his family moved on over to Oakland, he was still into drama and into acting, and he got really, really good at putting his poetry to music. In fact, he got so good that by the time he was leaving high school, he was prepared to start selling millions of records, and he did just that. Now, what he did, though, when he wrote his poetry, when he wrote his songs, they were about what was going on in the world because of his parents and how he grew up. So he was writing about social issues and things that touched people. That's what he did. So when he wrote a song about his mother, it not only was something that touched his mother, it touched all single mothers that were raising their kids and struggling at the time. So it goes a little something like this. I know the road got tough. You're alone. You're trying to raise 2 bad kids on your own. And there's no way that I can pay you back. But the plan is to show you that I understand. You'll appreciate it. You see, he was talking about his mother, but everyone could feel that. All mothers could feel that. He touched the nation when he wrote that. And that was in 1995. And in 1996, he wrote something that was even more eerie because it actually was predicting his own death. He called it "Only God Can Judge Me." Maybe he was dealing with his own demons. But he said this in that piece. I see the doctor standing over me, screaming, "You can make it." I've got a body full of bullet holes, laying here naked. Still, I can't breathe. Something evil's in my IV. Because every time I breathe, I think they're killing me. I call the nurse because it hurts to reminisce. How did it come to this? I wish they didn't miss. I wish they didn't miss. 6 months after he wrote that, young Lassane was dead. The second time around, they didn't miss. You see, it was a hot summer night, September 7th, 1996, in Las Vegas. Lassane and his friend Marion were driving down the boulevard in that beautiful black BMW with the rims. Oh, it was so nice. But this wasn't just any night in Las Vegas. This was special. See, this was a night that Iron Mike Tyson was coming to fight. And he was fighting Bruce Seldon for the WBA title. So this was a major night here. And you could feel the energy on the streets. And as everyone piled into the MGM that day, they were ready to see Mike Tyson do his thing. Young Lassane and his friend Marion had ringside seats along with their entourage. Dressed to a T, gold chains hanging, they were ready to do their thing. And when Mike Tyson walked into that ring with the sweat coming down his brow and the anger in his eyes, you knew what he was going to do to Bruce Seldon. And he did just that. Within 1 minute and 29 seconds, the fight was over. But the fight for young Lassane's life had just begun. As everyone rushed out of the MGM to hit the strip, Lassane and his entourage, well, they left too. And they got into an altercation that night. They got into an altercation with another gentleman named Orlando Anderson. And as the group jumped on him and beat him, Orlando Anderson was bleeding and bloody, and the cops came to break it up, but you know what? He said, no, I don't want to charge anybody. Let him go. Orlando went his way. Lassane and Marion and the entourage went their way. They jumped back into that beautiful, pristine black BMW, and they're cruising down the boulevard, stopped at Flamingo Avenue at a red light. You see, they were about to go to Club 662. That's the club where they were going to meet up with Mike Tyson later. Lassane was going to be performing that night. He never made it. He never made it. Because as they sat at that light, ready to make that turn, a white Mercedes-Benz pulled up next to him. And in the back seat, someone pulled down the window, pulled out a gun, and fired 13 rounds into the passenger side of that black BMW. Now, Marion, he stepped on the gas, trying to get away, denting the rims and flattening the tires until the car came to a halt. And as he sat there, his head was bleeding because one of the bullets had ricocheted and hit him in the head. He jumps out of the car and he's yelling, Pac, are you okay? But he gets no answer. The cops get to the scene. And he opens the door to help young Lassane out, because you know he's injured. Lassane falls into his arms. As a cop surveys the scene and looks inside the beautiful black BMW, now it's been humbled. And it's full of bullet holes, and the inside is covered in blood. As he looks down at young Lassane, those beautiful gold chains are now crimson red. So they call the ambulance and they do everything they can to save him. They take him away, but it was too late. 6 days later, he died in the hospital. Yes, 25 years old, gone too soon. You see, he was one of those people that could definitely say something and get people to change the way they thought. The way he put his words into motion, he made people think. His mother said, you can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill a revolution. And she was right. He was a revolutionary. He was an activist. He was that rose that grew from concrete. So today, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests, I'm going to share with you the poem that he wrote, entitled, The Rose That Grew from Concrete. It goes like this. Do you remember the rose that grew from concrete? It learned to walk without having any feet. It's funny it seems, but by chasing its dreams, it learned to breathe with no air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else cared. When no one else cared. My name is T.Y. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you today. And as always, allow the universe to work in your favor and be blessed.
Thank you, Terence.